The large ship called Harmony's Bridge floated in the empty space between stars. Inside the ship, everything was quiet and clean. The walls were white and blue. The lights were soft. Commander Teo stood in front of a window and looked out at the black space. He was a tall man, with strong shoulders and kind eyes. His dark hair was cut short. He wore a blue uniform with gold marks that showed his rank. Teo was thinking about the meeting that would happen soon. For 3 years, humans and Valkyr had fought each other. Many people had died on both sides. Soldiers, families, children. The war had destroyed planets and killed millions. Now, the leaders of both groups wanted to try something different. They wanted to talk instead of fight. They wanted peace. But peace was very hard to believe in. Teo had seen too much death. He had held his friends as they died. He had given orders that ended many lives. The Valkyr were dangerous. They were very different from humans. They had teeth and claws. They were hunters and killers. And now, Teo had to sit with them in a room and try to find peace. G1 walked up to Teo. G1 was younger and worked with Teo. She was smart and careful. She carried a thin computer device in her hands. She looked worried. "Commander," she said, "the Valkyr ship will arrive in 30 minutes. I have the information you asked for." Teo turned away from the window. "Tell me," he said. G1 looked at her device. "Their leader is Commander Krev. He is very old for a Valkyr. He is about 200 years old. He has fought in many wars. He is strong and respected by his people." She paused. "But there is something unusual." "What?" asked Teo. "He is bringing his child," said G1. "A young one. Only 4 years old. We did not expect this." Teo felt surprised. "Why would a military leader bring a child to a peace meeting?" G1 made a small smile. "In Valkyr culture, bringing a child to an important meeting means the person really wants peace. It means they care about the future. It is a sign of good faith." Teo nodded slowly. This was interesting. It meant Krev really did want to stop the war. The time for the meeting came. Teo walked to the large room called the observation deck. This room had huge windows that looked out into space. The floor was shiny and clean. On one side of the room were chairs and a long table. Humans sat on this side. On the other side would sit the Valkyr. Teo stood at the middle of the table. He wore his best uniform. Around him stood other human leaders. There were soldiers and diplomats. Everyone looked nervous. They had never been this close to the Valkyr before. Then the doors opened. Commander Krev walked in first. He was very big. He was almost 8 feet tall. His skin was covered in fine fur that looked like gold and orange colors. He had a face like a big cat. His eyes were yellow and very smart. His hands had long, sharp claws. He wore special armor made for his large body. Behind Krev walked 2 other Valkyr. And between them, holding Krev's hand, was a small Valkyr child. This was Riska. The young one was only about 3 feet tall. He had the same golden fur as his father. His ears were pointed. His eyes were big and bright. He looked at everything with great interest. This child had never seen humans before. The Valkyr walked slowly to the other side of the table. Krev looked at Teo. For a moment, the 2 men looked at each other. A human commander and a Valkyr commander. 2 leaders from 2 species that had fought for 3 years. Then Teo did something. He smiled. Krev's eyes became a little softer. He made a small sound that was like a greeting. But then, something happened that nobody expected. Riska saw Teo. The young Valkyr's big eyes fixed on the human commander. Something inside the young predator woke up. It was an old instinct, deep in his body. It was the instinct of a hunter. It was the instinct of a young warrior who needed to test his strength. Riska's ears went back. His mouth opened. He showed his long, sharp teeth. He made a hissing sound. Before anyone could move or say anything, Riska ran toward Teo very fast. The young Valkyr's claws came out. His mouth was open wide. He was going to attack the human commander. The room became very loud. Alarms started to sound. Human soldiers reached for weapons. Krev shouted something in the Valkyr language. Everything was confusion and fear, but Teo did not move. He did not run. He did not pull a weapon. He just stood there. The young Valkyr jumped up, aiming for Teo's throat. This should have been the moment everything fell apart. This should have been the end of peace. But then Teo spoke. His voice was calm and clear. "Good reflex," he said. "Strong instincts." Riska stopped in the middle of his attack. The young predator landed in front of Teo. But he did not bite. He was confused. He had never heard words like this before. His attack had not made the human afraid. The human had not fought back. The entire room fell completely silent. Everyone stared at Teo. Then Teo did something else. He bent down. He bent his body so he could look at the young Valkyr at the same level. He looked into the child's big yellow eyes. "In my culture," Teo said in a soft voice, "we have young ones too. They test their courage. They try to be strong. You have courage, little one. You have strength." Riska's ears started to go forward. His teeth slowly disappeared into his mouth. His body became less tense. Krev stood frozen. Around him, the other Valkyr also did not move. In their culture, if a child attacked an important person, that person would attack back. They would show who was stronger. To not attack back would mean the person was weak. But Teo had done something different. He had not shown weakness. He had shown control. He had shown respect for the child's instincts, while also showing his own strength. Through his calm words, Teo reached out his hand very slowly. Riska looked at the open hand. After a moment, the young Valkyr put his small paw in Teo's hand. The human commander gently closed his fingers around the small paw. "Welcome," Teo said to the young one. "I am happy to meet you." For the first time, Riska made a small sound that was almost like a purr. Krev watched this. His yellow eyes showed emotion that was hard to read. Then, the old Valkyr commander stepped forward. He looked at Teo for a long moment. When Krev spoke, his voice was deep and strong. "No," said Teo. He still held Riska's small paw. Something changed in Krev's face. Something became different in his eyes. It was like a door opening. "Ah." The Valkyr commander moved toward the table and sat down. He gestured for his other soldiers to also sit. Slowly, the human soldiers also sat. The peace meeting was about to begin. But now, something had changed. A moment between a human commander and a young Valkyr child had created something new. A small moment had become very important. A simple action had created hope. 3 days had passed since the first meeting. The Harmony's bridge moved slowly through space. Inside the ship, something strange and wonderful was happening. Riska followed Teo everywhere. When Teo walked through the hallways, the young Valkyr cub walked behind him. When Teo went to eat, Riska sat near him. When Teo rested in his room, Riska waited outside the door. The child had become very interested in the human commander. This was not what anyone had expected. Ji-won watched all of this. She stood next to Teo as they walked through the ship's garden. The garden was a special place, with green plants and trees. It helped people feel calm. The air was warm and smelled like growing things. Riska ran ahead of them, jumping and playing. He would run to a flower, touch it with his small claws, and then run to another flower. He made happy sounds as he played. "This is very unusual," said Ji-won. "He is testing," said Teo. He watched the young predator play, but not in the way we thought. He is not testing to fight. He is testing to connect. They continued to walk. Riska suddenly stopped. He looked at Teo. The young Valkyr made a low sound in his throat. Then he ran at Teo and jumped. Teo caught the small predator in his arms. Riska tried to wrestle with him, pushing and pulling. But it was all play. It was what young Valkyr did with their family. The cub was treating the human commander like family. Ji-won smiled. This was a very important thing. By accepting Riska as family, Teo was showing respect for the Valkyr. He was showing that he understood their ways. That evening, Teo taught Riska about human fighting skills. They sat together in a training room. Teo showed the young predator slow, careful movements. He showed how humans used their bodies in different ways than Valkyr did. Valkyr used claws and teeth. Teo explained in simple words. Humans use the mind first. We think about the fight before we fight. We use small movements to win. Against large strength, Riska watched very carefully. His big yellow eyes followed every movement that Teo made. The young one tried to copy what he saw. He was learning. He was learning that strength came in many forms. Meanwhile, in a private meeting room, Commander Krev sat with Teo. The two leaders were alone. This was unusual and important. Krev looked tired. The old Valkyr commander was very big, but today he seemed small somehow. His shoulders were bent. His eyes were sad. The war is killing us, Krev said. His voice was very quiet. My people are dying. Our population becomes smaller every year. Our worlds are broken. Our resources are gone. We cannot continue. Teo listened. He did not interrupt. I brought my son to this meeting, continued Krev, not just to show peace. I brought him because I did not know if he would live through another 5 years of war. He is my only child now. The others were killed in battle. The old commander's voice became even quieter. I wanted him to see something different, to see that life could be more than war. Teo felt something inside him. He understood this pain. He had lost friends. He had lost family. He knew what it was like to be tired of death. Humanity faces the same thing, said Teo. Our colonies are destroyed. Our young people are soldiers or refugees. We have lost so much. I have held the hand of soldiers who were younger than your son. I have felt them. Stop breathing. Krev looked at Teo with new understanding. They were from different species, but they shared the same pain. Why did you not kill my son when he attacked you? Asked Krev. This was the question that had been in his mind since the first day. Teo thought about this for a long moment. Because your son is not my enemy. He was afraid. He acted from fear, not from evil. When I showed him that he did not need to be afraid, his aggression stopped. Fear makes creatures attack. Safety makes creatures peaceful. That is not Valkyr wisdom, said Krev slowly. No, agreed Teo, but it is human wisdom. And perhaps wisdom does not come from being Valkyr or human. Perhaps wisdom comes from seeing the truth. The truth is that your son is not dangerous. He is young. He is learning. He is wonderful. Krev made a sound in his throat. It was a sound that showed deep emotion. Over the next 2 days, other things happened. The human doctors showed the Valkyr medical officers how they treated injuries. The Valkyr showed the humans how their armor worked. They shared food. They told stories. They learned about each other. Riska spent time with Minseo, a human girl who was 7 years old. Minseo's parents worked on the ship. The girl and the young Valkyr became friends quickly. They played games together. They drew pictures together. They laughed together. Adults watched this and felt hope. If children from 2 species could be friends, perhaps adults could too. One night, Ji-won found Teo looking out a window at the stars again. Commander, she said, we received a message from Earth. The military leaders have questions about the negotiations. Some of them do not support what we are doing here. They think you are too soft with the Valkyr. Teo did not look away from the stars. They are afraid, he said. Fear makes people want to fight. Fear makes people think that mercy is weakness. Is it not? Asked G1 carefully. Teo turned to look at her. No. Strength is being able to kill and choosing not to. That is true strength. Weakness is only knowing how to destroy. G1 nodded. She was beginning to understand what Teo was trying to do. He was not trying to end war just with words or agreements. He was trying to change how people thought about each other. In his bed that night, Rizka lay next to his father, Krev. The old commander held his son close. He could feel the young one's breathing become slow and deep as the child fell asleep. Krev looked out his small window at the same stars that Teo looked at. He thought about his other children, killed in war. He thought about all the young Valkyr who would never grow up because of fighting. But then he looked at his living son, sleeping peacefully. He thought about Rizka playing with the human girl. He thought about Rizka learning from a human commander. Maybe, thought Krev, a different future was possible. Maybe this meeting on this ship between the stars could actually change things. Maybe peace was not a dream. Maybe it could be real. The stars shined above them. In the darkness of space, the Harmony's bridge moved forward. Inside, two species were learning to see each other, not as enemies, but as beings worthy of respect. It was a small beginning. But every great change starts small. Everything changed in a moment. One moment, Teo was in a meeting with Krev, talking about trade routes and sharing resources. The next moment, alarms started to sound everywhere. The red emergency lights turned on in all the hallways. The ship shook. Teo fell forward, catching himself on the table. "Report!" he shouted into his communication device. Jiwon's voice came through, but it was scared and loud. "Commander, we are under attack. A Valkyr vessel has fired on us. We have damage to the rear sections." Teo and Krev looked at each other. For a moment, their eyes met. Both of them understood the same thing. Someone did not want this peace meeting to continue. Someone wanted the war to keep going. "How is the damage?" asked Teo. "Very bad, sir. We have fires in sections 6 and 7. The life support system is failing. We have about 15 minutes before those sections will lose all air." Teo felt his heart become cold. Section 6. That was where many of the Valkyr delegates were. Section 7 was where the children were sleeping. But there was more. At the same moment, another alarm sounded, this time from a different system. "Sir," shouted G1. "We are receiving attacks from human ships too. Human military vessels are attacking us from the other side. They are firing on our position." Teo understood now. This was a plan. Both sides had extremists. Valkyr warriors, who did not want peace. Human soldiers, who did not want peace. They had attacked together, trying to make it look like both sides had betrayed each other. The ship shook again. This time, much harder. Krev was already moving. He ran toward the door, toward where his people were. Teo ran after him. The hallways were filled with smoke. People were running everywhere. Some were hurt. Some were helping others. The air was hot and hard to breathe. When they reached Section 6, the door was closed. Behind the door, they could hear people shouting. They could hear the sound of fire. "We can seal this section," said one of the human officers. He was pale and scared. "If we seal it now, we can save the rest of the ship. But everyone in Sections 6 and 7 will die." Teo looked at Krev. The old Valkyr commander's face was twisted with pain and fear. His son was in Section 7. His people were in Section 6. For a moment, everything was silent, except for the sound of the fire and the people trapped behind the door. Then Teo spoke. His voice was steady and clear. "We save everyone we can," he said. "No exceptions. No deaths, based on what species someone is. We find another way." The human officer looked shocked. But sir, we cannot. Find another way, repeated Teo. He turned to Krev. Can your people use the Valkyr escape pods? They are different from ours. Krev nodded. He understood. Yes. The pods are built for our bodies. But they are all on the other side. We cannot reach them. Teo thought very fast. His mind worked like a computer, finding solutions. The ventilation system. It connects these sections. It is small, but it could work. Send your strongest people through. Have them open the emergency exit from the other side. More officers began to understand. They started moving. Valkyr warriors climbed into the ventilation shafts. Their strong bodies pushed forward. Human engineers worked to guide them and keep them safe. Meanwhile, Teo ran toward the injured people. He began to help them move toward the safe zones. He carried a human medic who was hurt. He helped a Valkyr soldier stand up. He did not care what species they were. He only knew they needed help. G1 appeared next to him. The human ships are moving away, sir. And the attacking Valkyr ship has stopped firing. I think they know. We know about them. Good, said Teo. Tell them we are broadcasting evidence of their attack. Tell them we are sending information to both our governments. Maybe they will stop attacking if they know we can prove their betrayal. It took almost 20 minutes. 20 very long minutes. But when the emergency exit opened, people began to pour out. First the children. Then the wounded. Then anyone who could move. Riska came running out with Minseo behind him. The young Valkyr saw his father and jumped into Krev's arms. Krev held his son so tight, it seemed like he would never let go. All the people from sections 6 and 7 were saved. All of them. Humans and Valkyr. Together. But there was something else that happened during those 20 minutes. Something important. Teo saw a Valkyr medic who was badly hurt by the fire. She could not walk. She was lying on the ground, struggling to breathe. The air in that area was becoming more and more dangerous. Teo picked her up. She was very heavy. Her Valkyr body was large. But he carried her anyway. He carried her through the smoke, and the heat, and the danger. He got her to safety. The Valkyr medic looked at him with eyes filled with surprise and gratitude. Why? She asked in her language. But Teo understood. Because you are alive and you matter, said Teo. Your life matters as much as anyone else's. Krev watched this. The old commander watched this human carry one of his own people to safety. Watched him risk his own life to save a Valkyr. Watched him treat her with the same care he treated humans. When everyone was safe, and the fire was finally controlled, the ship was very quiet. It was damaged. It could no longer move forward. But it was alive. Everyone on it was alive. In the medical bay, Teo sat next to the Valkyr medic who had been hurt. She was sleeping now. Her injuries taken care of. A human nurse was watching her. Krev came and sat next to Teo. You saved my people, said Krev quietly. No, said Teo. We saved them together. We saved them because we chose to value life, not war. We chose to see each other as worth saving. Krev looked at his hands. His large, strong hands that had killed so many humans. I have done terrible things, he said. I have killed your people. Yes, said Teo. He did not lie. And I have given orders that killed your people. We have both done things we cannot take back. But we can choose what we do next. We can choose differently now. The old Valkyr commander sat in silence for a long time. Then he spoke very quietly. So quietly that Teo almost could not hear him. I understand now, Krev said. Humans are not weak for showing mercy. You are different from us. You are strong because you choose mercy, despite having the power to choose death. We have always chosen power. Perhaps it is time to choose something else. Outside, in the darkness of space, The attacking ships were gone. Military vessels from both sides had appeared to investigate. But for now, there was peace in this small area of space. There was the Harmony's bridge, damaged but alive. There were humans and Valkyr, together, having survived something terrible. And there was the beginning of understanding that sometimes the strongest choice is to save instead of destroy. The Harmony's bridge drifted slowly toward a neutral space station. Repair ships had come to help, and engineers worked night and day to make the ship safe enough to travel. It would take 2 weeks to reach the station. 2 weeks of moving slowly through the dark. But inside the ship, something important was happening. Riska was sick. Not very sick, but sick enough to stay in the medical bay. A piece of metal had hit him during the fire. It had cut through his fur and his skin. The doctor said he would be okay, but he needed to rest. The young Valkyr cub lay on a bed in the medical area. Minseo sat next to his bed every day. The human girl would hold the young predator's paw and tell him stories. She would bring him water. She would sit with him when he was sad or scared. "I want to show you something," Minseo said on the 4th day. She had a small drawing that she had made. It showed Riska playing and being happy. It showed the cub being strong again. "When you are better, we can play together again. I will run, and you will chase me." Risiska made a small purring sound. He understood Minseo. Not all the words, but he understood the feeling. The girl cared about him. She wanted him to get better, but something else was happening. Something more serious. The doctors discovered that the medical machines in the ship could not fix Risiska's injury completely. The metal piece had gone deep. It had damaged something inside. The human doctors tried everything they knew how to do. But they did not have the right technology. Teo sat in the meeting room with the human and Valkyr medical experts. They looked very worried. "He will not recover without special treatment," said the human doctor. "We need Valkyr medical technology. We need to get him to a place with more advanced equipment." "That would take 3 weeks," said one of the Valkyr doctors. "He does not have 3 weeks." The room became very silent. Then Krev spoke. "Then we transfer him to a Valkyr ship. We have a ship in this area with the equipment we need." "But," said G1 carefully, "those ships are still under the command of military leaders who do not want peace. They may not help. If the child is half under human protection." Krev stood up. He looked very large and very angry. "My son will receive help," he said. His voice was like thunder. "I will go to that ship myself if I must. I will demand they save my son's life." Grode. 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 Teo stood up too. "You will not go alone," he said. The two leaders, the human and the Valkyr, traveled together on a small ship to the Valkyr military vessel. When they arrived, many warriors were waiting. Warriors who still wanted to fight. Warriors who did not believe in peace. But Krev was the senior commander. He had authority over all Valkyr military ships. He brought Riska to their medical center. The Valkyr medical technology was very different from the human technology. It used energy fields and special medicines that the humans did not have. The doctors worked for many hours. Teo watched from outside the medical room. He watched through a window as the Valkyr doctors worked to save the life of a small child. He watched Krev hold his son's hand. When the doctors finished, they came out. They looked tired, but calm. "He will live," said the senior Valkyr doctor. Krev made a sound that was almost like human crying. But Valkyr did not cry like humans. Still, the emotion was the same. Relief, love, joy, that his child would live. Teo put his hand on Krev's shoulder. The old Valkyr commander looked at the human leader. Something very deep passed between them in that moment. Back on the Harmony's bridge, Riska recovered. Each day, he became stronger. Minseo was always there. She would play with him gently at first, and then with more energy, as he got better. One day, Risiska was strong enough to get out of bed. He and Minseo went to the garden with Teo. The green plants were growing. The flowers were beautiful. Risiska was still a little weak, so he moved slowly. Minseo held his paw to help him walk. The young Valkyr looked at the human girl with eyes full of feeling. This girl had sat with him every day. This girl had wanted him to live. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Not a dangerous alarm this time, but a notification alarm. G1 came running with a computer device. She looked excited. "Commander," she called out. "We have received a message from Earth and from the Valkyr homeworld. They have both agreed to the basic peace terms. The war is being stopped. They are calling for all military ships to stand down." For a moment, everyone just stared at G1. Then Teo began to smile. It was a big smile, a real smile. It was the smile of a person who had been holding fear for a very long time, and finally could let it go. Krev was standing not far away. When he heard this news, he walked over to Teo. The old Valkyr commander looked at the human leader. Quote, "They want to see proof," said G1 quickly. "They want to see humans and Valkyr working together. They want to know that this peace can work." Teo looked at Riska and Minseo. The young Valkyr and the young human were holding each other's hand and looking at the flowers together. This was proof. This was the future they could build. "Then let us show them," said Teo. That night, Teo sat next to Riska's bed. The young Valkyr was sleeping, his breathing deep and even. His cut was healing. His strength was returning. Krev came and sat next to Teo. "You saved my son's life," said Krev. "No," said Teo. "The Valkyr doctors saved his life. I just came with you." "You did more than that," said Krev. "You showed me that humans value life as much as we do. You showed me that when you love someone, you will do anything to save them, even if that someone is from a different species, even if that someone was supposed to be your enemy." Teo watched the young Valkyr sleep. He thought about all the young ones, human and Valkyr, who were alive because people had chosen to talk instead of fight. "The war taught us to see each other as monsters," said Teo. "But now I understand something. We are not so different. We all love our young. We all want them to live. We all want a future where they can be happy and safe." Krev put his large hand on Riska's head. He touched his son very gently, careful not to wake him. "When this young one grows," said the old commander, "he will have known both humans and Valkyr as friends. He will never know a time when we were only at war. Perhaps that is the greatest gift we can give him. The gift of a world where peace is normal. Where peace is simply how things are." Outside the ship, the stars shined. The Harmony's bridge continued its slow journey toward the neutral station. Inside, a human commander and a Valkyr commander sat together watching a young predator sleep. Two enemies had become allies. Two species had chosen to save instead of destroy. And in that small moment, in that small room on a small ship, the future was being born. The neutral space station was very large. It had been built many years ago as a place where different groups could trade and talk. Now it was going to become something more important. It was going to become the birthplace of real peace between humans and Valkyr. The Harmony's bridge arrived at the station. Ships from both sides were already there. Military vessels filled with soldiers. Diplomatic ships filled with leaders and government people. Reporters and information broadcasters waited to learn what would happen. Teo and Krev stood in a special meeting room. Around them were other leaders from both species. These were the people who would make the final decisions about peace. Some of them wanted peace. Some of them still wanted to fight. One human general stood up. His name was General Park. He looked angry. "This is a mistake," he said. His voice was loud and strong. "We cannot trust the Valkyr. They are killers. They are not human. They will take our peace agreement and use it to attack us better. We should have destroyed them when we had the chance." Many human soldiers in the room made sounds of agreement. Then a Valkyr war commander stood. His name was Kreth, and he was very famous for his victories in battle. He looked at the human general with eyes that showed anger. "The human fools speak of trust," said Kreth. His voice was sharp like a blade. "But I say we should end this meeting now. We should take back what is ours with force. The Valkyr do not make peace. We make victory." The room was becoming very hot with anger. On both sides, warriors wanted to continue fighting. They could not imagine a different future. They did not believe that enemies could become allies. But then Tayo spoke. "I ask you to watch something," he said. He held up a computer device. "Before you decide to continue the war, watch this." Tayo pushed a button. Suddenly, images appeared on the big screens in the room. Everyone could see clearly. The first image was from the attack on the Harmony's bridge. It showed the military ships firing. But when you watched carefully, you could see that some ships were human and some were Valkyr. They fired together. They attacked the peace meeting together. "These images show the attack," said Teo. "But notice something. The ships that attacked were not supposed to attack. They were from extremist groups on both sides. They wanted the war to continue. They did not want peace." General Park looked shocked. "This proves nothing. This proves that the Valkyr attacked us." "No," said Krev. He stepped forward. "It proves that soldiers on both sides, soldiers who did not want peace, attacked together. They tried to restart the war. They tried to make us blame each other." Then Teo showed more images. These images showed the Harmony's bridge after the attack. They showed humans and Valkyr working together to save people. They showed human doctors helping Valkyr warriors. They showed Valkyr workers saving human children. The room became very quiet. "When the ship was dying," said Teo, "we had a choice. We could have sealed the sections with only our own people and let the others die. We could have said they were enemies and let them suffer. But we did not do that. We saved everyone. Humans saved Valkyr. Valkyr saved humans." Then Teo showed the final images. Images of Rizka and Minseo, the young Valkyr and the young human playing together, laughing together, being friends. "This is the future we can build," said Teo. "Or we can continue to destroy each other. This young Valkyr and this young human have already chosen the future. They have chosen friendship. They have chosen peace. They do not know how to hate each other because they were taught differently." Krev moved to stand next to Teo. The sight of a human commander and a Valkyr commander standing together made many people in the room realize something was truly different. "For hundreds of years, we Valkyr have been taught that strength means conquest," said Krev. His voice was deep and serious. "We have been taught that other species are weak and should be destroyed. I have lived by these teachings. I have killed thousands. But I was wrong." The room was completely silent now. "I have learned something from this human," continued Krev. He looked at Teo. "I have learned that true strength is wisdom. True strength is being able to show mercy even though you could show cruelty. A strong species is one that chooses peace even when it could choose war. A strong species is one that values life." War Commander Kreth stood up again. His face was very angry. But before he could speak, Krev held up his hand. "I am your senior commander," said Krev, "and I say that the peace will be made. Any Valkyr warrior who disagrees can challenge me. They can try to take my command, but I believe that this is the correct choice. I believe that our future lies not in war, but in building something new." Kreth looked at Krev. The two Valkyr stared at each other. But slowly, Kreth sat back down. He did not challenge his commander. Then General Park stood. Many human soldiers looked at him. "The Valkyr have shown us something," said the general. He did not look happy, but he looked like he was being honest. "They have shown us that one of their top commanders is willing to risk his position for peace. That takes courage. That takes strength. I do not understand the Valkyr, but I understand courage. I will support this peace agreement. Not all the leaders were happy. Some humans still wanted to fight. Some Valkyr still wanted to fight. But most of them, when they saw Teo and Krev standing together, when they saw the images of the rescue, when they understood that peace was actually possible, they decided to support it. That evening, Teo and Krev stood outside together, looking at the stars. They were not in uniform now. They just looked like two tired leaders who had been through something very hard together. "We did it," said Krev quietly. "We began it," said Teo. "The real work starts now. We have to build the peace. We have to teach our people that the other side is not evil. That is harder than making an agreement." Krev made a sound that was almost like agreement. "In my lifetime, I thought I would see only war," he said. "I thought that was all the future held. But because of you, because you showed my son that humans were worth knowing, I have a different future now." "It was not just me," said Teo. "It was Riska. It was Minseo. It was all of us, choosing to see each other as living beings instead of enemies." They stood together in the darkness, looking at the infinite space above them. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were learning about the peace. Millions of Valkyr were learning about the peace. Some were happy, some were angry. But the war was ending, and from this moment forward, the universe would be different. Humans and Valkyr would build together instead of destroying together. It had started with a simple moment. A human commander had shown mercy to a young predator. He had said, "Good reflex." And those simple words had changed everything.